Hey, and welcome to Eat Out at Home, the podcast. This is the place for those who love cooking and creating connections through food. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn, and on this podcast, I share with you my favorite tips and tricks for enjoying life one bite at a time. If you're ready for today's episode, sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let's dive in. Hey, and welcome back to Eat Out at Home, the podcast. And today I want to talk about a few simple shifts that can make meal planning more simple, that can make it a little bit more sustainable, that can make it more consistent. And these are some things that I have done to really kind of stay on top of my game as, you know, the year progresses on, regardless of when you're listening to this, that sometimes it can be easy to kind of fall into kind of that decision fatigue about what am I going to eat? What am I going to cook? And that overwhelm that comes with wanting to cook at home consistently. So this might be a short episode today. I don't know. We know I'm a chatty Cathy kind of person. And I just want to share some things that I've been doing for maybe the past year or two that have been really helpful. And hopefully some of these things can work for you. So I've talked a lot before about how meal plans, to me, typical meal planning are not meal plans. They're eating plans. They're basically saying, this is what I'm going to eat on this day. And maybe even at this time, if they go that far, like this is what I'm going to eat for breakfast, this is what I'm going to eat for lunch, and this is what I'm going to eat for dinner. And I think that is a component of meal planning, but I've talked before a little bit, and I've alluded to that there's so many other steps involved when it comes to planning your meals, which is the time that the designated time that you need to sit down and write out the eating plan. But then also the time to do a quick little kitchen inventory to see what you already have on hand, the time to make a grocery list, the time to either order groceries or grocery delivery or go to the grocery store, and then time to kind of like prep everything. And, you know, if you need to wash, salad greens or fruit and vegetables, if you need to separate out proteins for the freezer, time for that. And then to decide, well, which days am I going to cook? For some people, depending on their family size or the way they live their life, that's every day. Some people that's every other day. Some people that's every couple of days. Some people that's once a week. And I found for me that if I try to usurp all those steps that are included, like when am I going to sit down and plan? When am I going to go to the grocery store? When am I going to get, groceries in? When am I going to do a quick little kitchen inventory? Even if some of these tasks are only 5-10 minutes, the bigger ones are when am I going to shop? What am I going to eat, which is a traditional meal plan, but also when am I going to cook? And for me, I don't necessarily have a set schedule every single week because of my lifestyle. And so I have to look week to week to go, what days am I going to cook and kind of plan out, if I don't cook for 3 days, I'm going to run out of food and then I'll be in somebody's drive-through. And so really taking the time to plan out all of the activities that are involved with getting, food on the table and eating at home consistently has really been a game changer for me. And I will say this, for me, it's less about planning what I'm going to eat because I can kind of just throw anything together because I have my meal templates, but it's more so about when am I going to shop? When am I going to cook? When am I going to take the time to go, let me go down into my kitchen, into my freezer, fridge, pantry, what's missing, what's some stuff that I need to use up, what's been in the freezer a little bit too long, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's just something to consider that when I see people talk about meal planning, I'm like, that's not all the steps that it takes to get a meal. That is a eating plan. So you also want to think about kind of like, if you have put yourself on some kind of special eating plan, or if you're trying to enhance or update your eating habits, what that transition looks like, if you're going to have people in town, if this is a week when you want to try a new recipe, if there's a celebration coming up. But I also like to put in my plan, when I plan on eating out, I've mentioned before that I don't cook at home every single day. And my goal is to eat at home 6 days a week, but then there's a 7-day a week or maybe just 2 meals that I don't typically make at home, which is Friday night, and then probably something on the weekends, like if I'm going out and hang out with family or friends or something like that. I also put that into my plan so that I can be mindful of, oh, hey, even if I cook right before this, is it going to be sitting in the fridge for 2 days before I get to it? So, being mindful about my commitments. If I'm traveling, if I'm having guests in town, what does that look like? And so, it has become easier and much more swift in doing that. But when I wasn't doing that, that's why meal planning wasn't work for me. That's why I discovered templates that work for me so that I can just kind of plug and play. And I also, and I haven't talked about this in an episode before, but I also, not only do I have meal templates, but I kind of just have like my standard favorites. Like there's certain just vegetables that I just know that I like. And so if I'm having a week where it's like, I really don't have it in me, then it's like, okay, just grab 4 or 5 of your favorite vegetables that that you can cook really quickly. I kind of know what my favorite carbohydrates are. I know what my favorite fruits are. And so I'm just like, let's just rock with that. Let's just rock and roll with that and move from there. And again, it's about like deciding once and then just executing and not always trying to reinvent the wheel. But then I also, when I do this, kind of know when I'm in the mood to experiment, when I'm in the mood to try something new, when I'm like, okay, I need to update the routine so that it doesn't get stale, so that I don't get bored. All of that is taken into account. And now I can do that very quickly in 10 minutes. I can kind of write out, here's what I want to eat for the week because I know my meal templates, right? We've talked about this before. I kind of know, okay, on the weekend, I'm going to want a kind of more traditional American, protein, 2 vegetables and a carb, a beverage and a dessert. And then I also know if I want to experiment with something like that. And it's like, so I do the eating plan. I do the inventory, I do the shopping plan, and I do the cooking plan. And that is essentially, to me, what the 4 parts of an actual meal plan. It's like the eating plan, the cooking plan, the shopping plan, and the planning plan, if that makes sense. So, listen, I told you I was going to try to keep this episode fairly short today. But yeah, I just thought that I would share with you some things that I've been doing. And if those things resonate with you, then take what works. Listen, let me know if you're enjoying the podcast. Let me know, are there any topics that you want me to talk about on the podcast? So I would love to get your input. You can leave it in the comments below, or you can take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram. And I would love it if you would leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. So I appreciate you in advance for that. And yeah, I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you're ready to start cooking at home consistently, make sure you join the Eat Out at Home Challenge. Visit chefevelyn.com/challenge for all of the details. If you're curious about what I'm cooking in between episodes, make sure to give me a follow on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for some delicious behind the scenes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify to leave us a review. Remember, eating out at home allows you to cook better, eat healthier, save money, and create community. And most importantly, cooking at home is the ultimate form of self-care. I'll see you in the next episode.